You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the January 28th, 2025 meeting of the Michigan City Plan Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good afternoon. The time is 6 o'clock. I'll call to order our first meeting of this year. Today is Tuesday, January 28th, 2025. This is the first meeting for the Michigan City Plan Commission, and I will call the roll. Give me a second. Mr. Balling?
Here.
Mr. Connolly?
Here.
Mr. Bryant? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Dabney?
Present.
Mr. DeMedici?
Here.
Mr. Granquist?
Here.
Mr. Hoffman? We'll see Ross tonight. I think actually he's going to be a little late, so maybe he'll get here. Mr. Klinder?
Here.
Miss Tejeda?
Here.
Mr. Werner?
Present.
We do have a quorum. I'm going to hold off on marking Mr. Hoffman absent yet. But moving on. Our first order of business tonight is election of officers, and tonight you'll be electing a president, a vice president, and a secretary. As soon as the president is elected, I will step back down to my normal spot and let him or her take over. And I will open it up at this time for nominations for president. That's where I'm at. Opening it up for nominations for president.
I'd like to make a nomination for Dan Granquist to continue as president.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Mr. Granquist, are you willing to serve?
I am willing.
I will call for the roll. Mr. Ballin?
Yes.
Mr. Connolly?
Yes.
Mr. Dabney?
Aye.
Mr. DeMedici?
Aye.
Mr. Granquist?
Yes.
Mr. Klinder?
Yes.
Ms. Tejeda?
Yes.
Mr. Werner?
Aye.
Congratulations, Dan. Mr. Granquist, I will hand this over to you and take my normal seat.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. York, for starting our meeting. Welcome, everybody. As Mr. York indicated, this is the first meeting of the year. We'll continue with our agenda and the election of officers, so we'll open it up for nominations for a vice president. Is there a nomination for vice president?
Would you guys like for me to remind you who the vice president is and all those members are right now? Okay. I probably should have done that at the beginning. I apologize. Right now, your current role is from last year was Mr. Granquist as president, Mr. DeMedici as vice president, and Rose, Miss Tejeda as secretary.
Again, is there a nomination for a vice president?
Yes, I move that Mr. Domenici be nominated vice president.
Is there any other nomination? Is there a motion to second?
No support.
Then
Give me one second.
Mr. York, want to call the roll?
Yes.
Seeing there's no other nominations.
Give me 1 second. Mr. Balling?
Yes.
Mr. Connolly?
Yes.
Mr. Dabney?
Aye.
Mr. DeMedici?
Yes.
Mr. Granquist?
Yes.
Mr. Klinder?
Yes.
Ms. Tejeda?
Yes.
Mr. Werner?
Aye.
Okay,
Mr. DeMedici, you've been nominated and elected as vice president. Congratulations. Our sympathies. And then we'll continue with the nominations. And is there a nomination for a secretary? continue with Mr. Hayda.
I nominate Mr. Heather.
Is there a second?
Support.
Any other nominations? Close. Seeing none, we'll close the nominations. Mr. York?
Mr. Balling,
Yes.
Mr. Conley,
Yes.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Mr. Domenici,
Yes.
Mr. Granquist,
Yes.
Mr. Klender,
Yes.
Ms. Tejeda,
Yes.
and Mr. Warner.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. We'll continue with the items on the agenda and we'll call for approval of the agenda. Are there any other changes, any other issues, Mr. York, that have come up to suggest any changes?
Not at this time. I will get to one item at new business though. That's it.
Okay, they'll fall under the new business category. So is there a motion to approve the agenda as prepared and presented?
So moved. Support.
Then,
Give me one. I'm sorry. Give me.
yeah, when you're ready, Mr. York.
Okay, I'm ready. Agenda. Mr. Balling,
Yes.
Mr. Conley,
Yes.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Mr. Domenici,
Aye.
Mr. Granquist,
Yes.
Mr. Klender,
Aye.
Ms. Tejeda,
Yes.
and Mr. Warner.
Aye.
The
Motion
agenda
approved.
has been approved. The next item is the approval of the minutes. We had some minutes from back in November there. You've received them electronically or paper form. If you had a chance to review them, any questions, comments, changes, or is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Balling,
Yes.
Mr. Conley,
Yes.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Mr. Domenici,
Aye.
Mr. Granquist,
Yes.
Mr. Klender,
Affirmative.
and Ms. Tejeda.
Yes.
Mr. Warner.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. And the next item on the agenda is the petition. We have one petition tonight. Petition number 903-24, paren 3, Pyramid Properties requesting final PUD site plan approval for the Moore subdivision located at Moore Road, Highway 12. And the petitioner is represented by attorney Anthony Novak. Do you have any initial comments, Mr. York, or shall we just call on Mr.
Just to set the stage, this was, and I'll go through this in my report too. But this is was approved by us the first time, the original time on October 22nd, 2024. I know that that's been a little while. I would also just say that me and the petitioner, Mr. McCree, we have met numerous times on this item, and we had previously taken it through development review as well. So that happened with all of the departments. I guess I would just say there's been a lot of work done on this previous to even the October 22nd meeting. I want to say even maybe up to a year previously talking about this project. And then it was sent to with a favorable recommendation to council, and then it was approved by council on December 3rd, 2024. And I'll let that set the stage, and Mr. Novak can take it, Attorney Novak can take it from there.
Yeah, thank you, Skylar. And I just have a brief presentation, maybe just a few minutes. So Anthony Novak, as Skylar indicated, I'm an attorney with Newby, Lewis, Kaminsky, and Jones in LaPorte, here on behalf of Pyramid Properties, Inc. and their owner, Tony McCree. Here tonight seeking final approval of the PUD plan known as the Moore. Next month, you're going to see me again, but we're going to be back in front of you on the major subdivision component of this project, specifically Tract 1, which will be the first 16 units. But tonight, we're just focusing on the final PUD. So we were last in front of you October 22nd. We received a favorable 9-0 recommendation for this development. Again, as a reminder, this is a residential development, a total of 40 units on about 8.5 acres near the intersection of Moore Road and 212. Currently, that's a retired church, and now is going to be this development. So after we were here 10/22, We went to council on 11/19. We had the PUD ordinance done on first reading. December 3rd, we had second and third reading of the PUD ordinance, which was unanimously approved and subsequently recorded on January 2nd. And the planning department has that recorded ordinance. Back in front of you now for final PUD. When we had the unanimous recommendation from you all on October 22nd, there were 4 conditions. Number 1, that we would do an updated basin design for track 1, essentially to enlarge the basins to 150%. Number 2, that the track 2 stormwater plan would be presented and reviewed and approved by you all prior to primary plat of track 2, which will be in the future. Number 3, prior to any sale of a unit, that the conservation easement will be recorded. And then finally, that a basin maintenance agreement be created and made part of the PUD plan. So I can confirm that of these conditions, that the PUD plans and basin designs were redesigned, that the basins were redesigned to meet the requirements that were asked of us. And per a memo from Al Wallace as of yesterday, he said he reviewed all the plans, they meet what's needed to be done, and that it can be approved. I can also confirm that the form of conservation easement has been negotiated, reviewed, and approved by Steve Hale. And we talked yesterday, and basically, once this PUD would be approved, I'll insert that recorded information into the conservation easement, and then we can have that recorded. As indicated, the track 2 component is a little premature just because we're not there yet. But other than that, all of the conditions have been met. In addition to those conditions, after we submitted the final PUD on December 26th, we had a couple additional requests. Tim Warner, as city engineer, asked that we replace the existing wet well structure that's located on Birch Tree Lane and that we relocate that. We've done that with our plans. And then the Michigan City Water Department asked that we extend the water main on track 1. We have done that as well. So all of these conditions and requests have been completed. We believe we're in compliance with the conditions that you've set forth, and we would respectfully ask for final approval of the PUD tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Novak. Are there any questions from the commission? Any questions, comments, concerns?
Just a comment, when that came to the council, there was no dissent in this project. Everybody's in favor of it. So just wanted to put that information out there as well. So
Thank you.
Mr. York, do you have any report to?
I do have a report, and it's a very quick report. But I do have a question.
Yeah.
Before I read. So the water department came back, and I think in here you've satisfied the water departments what they needed for you. Okay.
Yeah. Zach Brown from Birch indicated that he had a couple conversations with the water department. They wanted to see, I'm going to get the lingo wrong. They wanted to make sure that the water lines were connected between the tracks, and they wanted the main extended. And he said, we've done all that and it's incorporated into the plan.
And then your easements won't, I mean, I guess my point in asking this is that even if you grant easements to that water, they wouldn't be done through this process. They'd be done through your
Correct.
subdivision process,
Correct.
which we're not there yet. So, I guess I don't want to hold you up on that water issue, because I think it's appropriate to go to the subdivision portion
Sure.
of that. That's where your easements are platted.
Yeah.
So, okay. That being said, I will move on to my report. It's a very short report. Basically, our code says that we have to, unless there's some large deviation from the original preliminary site plan preliminary HUD site plan that we deviated from, that basically we're bound to review it in the same manner that we did the first time. So if you would like for me to read the whole entire report, I will, and it is here. Or if you'd just like for me to incorporate it in, because you did give a non-zero favorable recommendation, the only thing that has really changed from that are some things that our city engineer and our water department required, which have all been satisfied, and I'll get into those. But that being said, I will read it, but I would like to incorporate it into this, and let me read my report. This is case number 903-24-3. More PUD Pyramid Properties. This is for final PUD site plan. The request is for PUD approval, and for the more PUD staff analysis, the petitioners requested and received approval The petitioner requested and received approval for final PUD site plan for the Moore PUD for
Preliminary.
not preliminary site plan on October 22nd, 2024. Planning Commission meeting. Staff would like to incorporate by reference the staff report from October 22nd, 2024 with a favorable recommendation. That would be this report. The petition went to City Council with a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission, and the petition was approved on December 3rd, 2024. There were 4 conditions that must be adhered to, and I'll read those 4 conditions. Those traveled with the site plan and were also approved by, I think they were subject to the approval of City Council as well. They approved them as well. So here are the 4 conditions. The applicant must provide the city MS4 coordinator, reviewer, an updated basin design for track 1 prior to the final PUD approval and secondary plat approval. The plan will be reviewed again at the time of permitting to assure conformation with the review provided by Burke Engineering. That has been satisfied. And you may recall there's a lot of discussion about the depth of those ponds and the size of those ponds. And actually it results in a less runoff than what is being produced right now. Number 2, track 2 stormwater plan and design will be reviewed and approved at the time of preliminary plat to assure that adequate detention for stormwater is provided. Keep in mind they're only requesting at the next meeting for track 1 final plat approval. Number 3, prior to any sale or offer to sell any unit in track 1 and or 2, the conservation easement shall be recorded in its current form as submitted or with any changes approved by the enforcement officer. I believe you've prepared that and it's prepared to be executed at time of final plat approval.
Yes, well, it'll be recorded once, so once the PUD would be approved and then the HOA formed, it will be recorded, but it will be prior to any sale, so it still meet that
Yes,
condition.
absolutely, because it has to be incorporated into the HOA
Correct.
documents.
Yep.
Number 4, a basin maintenance agreement shall be added to the proposed commitments, restrictions, covenants submitted by the applicant to the Plan Commission as Exhibit 8 to the applicant's preliminary PUD site plan, and said document as amended shall be made a part of the preliminary PUD site plan and forwarded to the Michigan City Common Council. I believe you have satisfied that condition as well, and it has been made part of that to make sure that makes sure that the basin agreement, which has been executed between the PUD and the sanitary district, that will now become a covenant and restriction that'll be added to the HOA. Essentially,
And it's part of the PUD ordinance that was recorded.
At this time, I would change my recommendation because the 3 condition 3 and 4 have been met, and I'm satisfied with those what's been met. So I would recommend that we approve the final PUD as presented, site plan as it presented. Some other things that the developer agreed to do outside from Tim. Tim had some suggestions. They're moving a basin so it's not in the middle of one of the drives. They're also providing some other stormwater infrastructure in our right of way. So we appreciate the developer doing that for us. So with that, I'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. York.
And I can answer any questions from the Plan Commission if there's any clarifications, because I know it has been a while. It's been out since October.
Are there any questions or comments from the commissioners? Mr. Warner, do you want to make any comment on?
No, I
Thank you.
appreciate that you guys have taken action on that catch basin. It was right in the middle of your main entryway in the first stage. So
Yeah,
thank you.
absolutely. Yep.
Okay, no further comments, questions from the commissioners. Ask Attorney Hale if you would like to give us your report.
Yes, sir. My report will also make very brief. My report is for petition number 903-24(3). The applicant and owner is Pyramid Properties, Inc. The request is for final PUD site plan approval for the property located basically at the intersection of Moore Road and Highway 12. My report goes through again the same history of this request that was presented in Mr. York's petition, and I repeated basically his description to you of the process. At this time, the Plan Commission is required to review this final PUD site plan and determine that it is in compliance substantially with the preliminary PUD site plan that was approved October, and that the conditions have been met or have been provided for. There is no requirement for additional notice or a public hearing. Your job is to review this, determine that it is still in compliance, and approve it. And that then would be the end of this process. I think I would just point out the most important thing in my report is the listing of all of the materials that are to be considered part of the record. I think that's always important for cases of historical record keeping. And I've added all of the new documentation that's been supplied by the petitioner. And I've also referenced all of the material that was supplied at the preliminary stage. So you're free to make a motion approving or not approving this matter, and your motion would be based upon its compliance with the preliminary plan and any conditions that were attached to that.
Thank you, Attorney Hale, for that. And I'll call back on Mr. York for any staff or departmental reports and comments and any correspondence that we may have received.
Thank you, Mr. President. I apologize. I forgot to read them. I got carried away. So the first report is from the Water Department. The Department of Waterworks has no objections to the PUD for the purposes of this development. However, there are several stipulations that the department has requested of the developer for the department to quote, install, and take ownership of the potable water lines within the PUD. Attached is an email with those details that has been provided to the developer. I do recommend that the PUD decision be contingent upon final agreement between the Water Department, but if you scroll through these, they have been satisfied at this time. I have the emails right here with satisfaction. If you'd like for me to read them should I read them into the report, into the record, Mr. Hale?
It's not necessary as long as you provided the written document as part of the record for tonight.
Absolutely. Yes, they will be part of this record. MS4 comments, Mr. Engineer Warner. The stormwater report has been received by the city engineer and staff of CBB, Christopher Burke Engineering, and I don't know what the L stands for, land surveying maybe. Consultant to the MCSD, Michigan City Sanitary District. Any earlier submittal review comments have been incorporated to the satisfaction of the Michigan City Sanitary District and the city engineer for MS4 compliance. Also, the engineer said site work components as of roadway, sidewalks, drainage structures, and pipe appear to meet local and applicable codes and standards and are found to be satisfactory. The city engineer recommends to replacement of the existing wet well, which you guys have agreed to do that, in the curb line at Birch Tree Lane, at the proposed drive entrance, and the new structure to be moved to the west side of the property as proposed from the entrance. So you did that as well. I would also like to say, let's see here, stormwater management number 2025-01 was issued to Moore Track number 1 development, and I believe that is your. Not sure what that is, but basically sanitation department comments is he's basically saying you've been issued your permit.
Yeah.
And then the last comment I would add is that additional comments from Al Wallace, who is an official SWIP approval form was completed and issued on 1/27/2025. You may recall that was one of the things that hadn't been completed yet because we hadn't had all the engineering and storm basins, but now they have officially received their SWIP approval. And I'll just read this from Mr. Wallace. Within the October 15th, 2025 stormwater drainage plan review, update number 2 memorandum for this project. The conclusions contained in this memorandum state that track 1, basin 1.1 and basin 1.2 are to be oversized to accommodate additional flow and address emergency bypass conditions. Based on the review of the updated Birch and Frank and Associates stormwater management report for the track 1 development dated December 10th, 2024, this requirement has been satisfied. Thus, the stormwater drainage plan for the project satisfies local standards and is considered approved. Formal sanitary district of Michigan City stormwater management permit number 2025-001 has been issued under a separate document. Sincerely, Al Wallace, Operations and Inspection Manager. And he provided a copy of your stormwater prevention plan and approvals. Those are all the comments I have. Thank you, Mr. President, for letting me do that.
Thank you, Mr. York. And Commissioners, we've heard the petition from the petitioner, we've heard the staff report and departmental reports, we've heard the attorney report. Do you have any further comments or questions from the commissioners? Then at this time, we'll open it up for public comment. Any public comment? Any public comment on this petition? Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Scott Mellon, 200 Kenwood Place. I feel certain you're going to approve this, as we know it's been approved by everybody up till now. I'd just like to point out a couple things. The city is building, I believe it's called the Lake Street Lift Station, in part to allow this type of development. It's good to see development is happening with a city plan like that. That's good city planning. Maybe even engineering is okay. The developer has accommodated every request the city has made. Or as I would phrase it, he's jumped through every hoop, which I think we all appreciate. I'd also like to point out to the board who may or may not remember, and the public who may or may not be watching, that the developer is only proposing 44 units where zoning allows him to build 66. This is a 50% reduction in potential density. I think fits the area very well, and almost by economics determines that this will be a high-end development. It's not going to be cheap if you've got fewer units. So this is going to be a nice development. I'd like to point out, with the accommodating every request, he's moved the entrance from where he is, the original entrance was on Moore Road to the side street, Birch Street, I believe. At the request of the city, he's moved his sanitary sewer. That sounds like that's not even his responsibility, but he's doing that. And he's enlarged those stormwater basins to 150% of what the engineer felt was required. So again, this sounds like a really positive development. The developer sounds like he's going to do a good job. He's accommodated every request from the city, and I, of course, would encourage you to approve it post haste. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
This is Tommy Kolovic from 1316 Ohio Street. Good evening, distinguished and honorable plan commissioners. I just want to kind of echo what Scott said about it. Just want to wish them a safe and successful project. I think it's going to be wonderful. We're going to have some nice high-end housing. So we have some good, thrifty, working-class Michigan City families moving in there. I want to encourage them all to send their students out of the Michigan City area schools and help boost our continuously declining enrollment we have there. Well, I want to say, there has been no mention of who the general contractor on this project is going to be. Just a reminder, we do have a local hiring ordinance here in Michigan City. So hopefully get some of our good local union contractors on these jobs when we build this. And so I just want to mention thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you for your comments. Any other comments from the public? Any other comments online? Is there anybody online? Nobody's online. Then we'll close up the public comment time. Then we'll take some consideration from the commissioners. Is there a motion to approve or deny?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Mr. York, roll call.
Call for the vote. Mr. Balling.
Yes.
Mr. Connolly.
Yes.
Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
Mr. DeMedici.
Aye.
Mr. Dranquist.
Yes.
Mr. Klender.
Yes.
Ms. Tejeda.
Yes.
And Mr. Warner.
Aye.
Motion approved. congratulations, and we look forward to your development.
Congratulations. Thank you, Attorney Novak, for your presentation. Thank you,
See you next month.
Commissioner, for your work in our community here. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, old business, new business.
Yeah, can anyone hear me? I feel like I'm. Yeah, okay. Some new business that will be coming before you. I'm not quite sure on the timing. Me and Mr. Hale still need to chat, but probably next month I will at least have it in your hands for review. But there's going to be a new stormwater ordinance that's going to be presented. And what's going on with that is it's actually becoming its own section in city code. Right now it's housed in the zoning code, which is I'll be very honest, it's kind of weird that it's in our zoning code. I assume it's there probably for reasons in 2010 when it was created that it needed to be housed there. But in all reality, it should be its own code with its own, it should be a code that's passed on its own standing, meaning that it should be incorporated into our muni code, almost like our zoning code is a piece of the muni code. I'm looking at our council because they pass our muni code orders. But what we will be asked to do is basically review this ordinance. We will have to take, and I'll explain this again at the time, but in a nutshell, we will need to take it out of our zoning code. So we'll have to redact our zoning code. But we also need to make sure that our zoning code has the right references to reference back to whatever ordinance is created by the city council, because it still plays a part in numerous things that we do, like the PUD, as we just passed. The stormwater was a big issue with that. So we need to make sure that the references are correct. So me and Mr. Hell will be reviewing that. I'll put it in your hands in February. I'll try to get it to you as soon as I can. I just got it today, so bear with me. I haven't even looked at it today. I just got it this morning from Mr. Wallace, and then hopefully the goal is to move it through simultaneously, I think, through our approval process and then get it ultimately in council's hands for their approval process. But keep in mind, anything that we approve also has to be approved by council as well. So there's a lot of a few moving parts with this. But anyways, I wanted to make you aware that this will be coming to you, and we will play a role in the execution of the new stormwater ordinance. That's really it. So just kind of keep an eye out for it, and then I think it'll move through council as well simultaneously. So anyways, that's really it. And any questions about it, just let me know, or I can answer them now.
Thank you, Mr. York. Are there any initial questions or comments about that from the commissioners?
Yeah, I was just wondering what caused it to be brought up to be separated from the zoning code and made a new ordinance.
Absolutely. Good. I was just about to follow up with that. So the reason why we're doing this is our code is out of date. It's 2 years out of date with respect to the new what do I want to say? The new ordinances that have come out regarding stormwater. So you may recall that during this PUD process, we had Christopher Burke helping us, and they were basically this development that we passed tonight will actually exceeds what actually would be required in the future. So that will all be incorporated. So I don't know why we housed it. I can't answer the question of why it's actually housed in our zoning code. I don't know the answer to that, because in my time here, it's always been the sanitation district that has done MS4 and stormwater and SWIP. It's never been the planning department. And I think that's for a reason, because there's a separation maybe of jurisdiction there. I'm just not sure why it's in our zoning code. But other cities we've looked at don't have it in their zoning code. It's literally a standalone code. Kind of like, I don't know the reason, Mr. Warner, I'm looking at you, maybe you know, it's weird to me.
Yeah, basically in the communities that I've worked in before as a consultant engineer, the MS4 requirements are primarily just involving engineering department and hydraulics and not in zoning. And plus, if I recall, during our investigation into where all of the different codes and ordinances were, we've had it in many different places.
Yes.
As opposed to now this really, the MS4 requirements are right in one place with the sanitary district and reference back to that in all of our new, at least the way we're working on it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's going to streamline that process, and it's actually going to provide a checklist now of stormwater requirements. So when we go to development review or a project like this comes in, we will literally have a form to hand to someone and say, this is what's required. Check, you're going to have to come back with these items. That's going to be very helpful, and I think really make some developers happy. And also, I think it takes a little bit of burden off of sanitation with trying to get the right documents. It's going to be like our it's going to be a form that you either have the documents or you don't. So this is what we need. So I think it'll streamline a lot of things. That's kind of it. I can't answer the question of why it's in our zoning code, though. I don't know why. I don't know the answer to that.
That shall remain a mystery. Thank you, Mr. York. Okay. Next item on the agenda is public comments. Are there any general public comments? Public comments in general for the Michigan City Planning Commission? No one's online. We've already had some comments in person here, so move on to commissioner comments. Any comments from the commissioners as we wrap up our first meeting of the year?
In general, I think it's great to start off the year with a proposal like this that we approve for the expansion of this Moore Road project and everything. It's a good first step for the planning commission and onward and upward in 25.
Okay, well, I'll just make a comment and thank you.
I have one as well.
I just have one comment. Skylar, thanks for, your persistence, and, for, Kyle for helping you out. We're gonna miss Kyle, and I know you're gonna find some new people to, take his place. And, I'm so happy for Michigan City that we're moving ahead on, projects like this.
Okay, Skylar, this is a question I have, and I don't like to ask questions and catch people off guard and things of that sort. So and I think I have the answer, but for some reason,
You're okay. Ask me.
And the only reason this came up is that the comment was made by Mr. Kolovic talking about our hiring ordinance, and I'm trying to piece together what projects fall in the hiring ordinance.
Yes.
Is this a project that
No.
falls under the purview of the hiring ordinance? And if not, I can get the answer and report it later.
No, the hiring ordinance covers projects that we would be participating in, public works projects.
Public works projects.
So like the sanitary lift station that we were talking about, the Lake Ave, that is a public work project, and that did require a local hiring ordinance, and the sanitation district did that in their bid process, and we've already reviewed it and approved. I believe it was awarded to Woodruff. So we already did that and approved everything for that. But that went through that hiring ordinance process. We do that in-house and check everything, there's all kinds of requirements. I don't want to, I'm not an expert. I don't want to speak out of turn, but this is a private development. Mr. McCree is a private entity. All that he is seeking from us is approval to do this project. There is no monetary, we're not participating in anything. It's all him. So he's not required to meet that hiring ordinance. That's totally him. If he wants to go hire Bryant to build his houses,
That'd be bad.
he could do that.
Be sure to get a city license.
Yeah,
Do whatever you
that
want.
would go way left.
within reason. Yeah, good question.
All right.
Well,
Thank
thank you,
you.
commissioners. We look forward to a good year. We look forward to new petitions, new development coming in our city. I thank Mr. York and the staff for all their work and diligence and preparation for all this, because when we get a petition up here, there's a lot of work that's already gone into it. So we want to recognize that. We want to thank Debbie for all the diligent minutes prepared every month and all the detailed reports that we get. So we appreciate that. I think we've got a good plan commission. We look forward to a good year coming up in 2025. Excellent. And we thank Drew for all the online technology. Thank you. Okay, if there's no other comments, then we'll have a motion for adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All approved.
Yep.